All right, so we got a clip by Kayla Carr. This is obviously not Kayla. This is her posting some clip, but let's take a look. This is Sadia.
There's been so many times where women say to me, it's like, oh, I told him I want a divorce, but hoping he'd come back for me, but he let me pack my bags. So sometimes they file for divorce or take it that far as a way of testing their partner. And if they're with quite a healthy partner, they'll think you mean it.
Yeah, that's exactly what a lot of women do, right? They play this really dangerous game, and it's a lose-lose for the guy, right? Because if you chase her and say, no, you're not divorcing me, right? Sure, they may think it's romantic, but now you've also given them leverage, right? If you walk away, they're like, oh, you didn't really care about me. So this is the problem with too much fantasy, not enough father in the picture, not enough reality. It's this sort of hyper feminine, everything is just always chaos state of mind, right? You just can't win. And I think a lot of guys, and I've seen you guys commenting all the time, right? It's a lose-lose game. Guys are starting to understand this is a lose-lose game. So what's the point of playing if you're just going to lose anyways? You try to do the chivalrous thing, you lose. You try to be the bad guy or whatever you want to call it, you still lose because society doesn't prop you up at all and it tries to take you down. So where's the winning strategy here? How am I supposed to win without sacrificing my soul? And when I say sacrificing my soul, I mean submitting to something that I truly don't believe in, right? A lot of guys, a huge majority of guys that at least look passable, like it looks like they're winning on some level, maybe they are mostly, they are doing exactly this. They are selling their soul just a little bit and dealing with it, and they're good enough, right? They're good enough in life and conquer things enough that they can sort of maintain that position, but it's still not ideal, right? And I'm not saying it has to be a perfect world or anything, but there should never be a world where you as a guy have to submit because you're scared of a woman taking your stuff. Like that's not a world that should exist. If you've earned your own things, and we live in an egalitarian society, right? Women need to take responsibility. Okay, so if they're going to choose somebody, they have to choose somebody knowing full well that they cannot forever extract benefits regardless of what happens. Or the alternative is we don't treat women like adults, they don't have responsibility, and this is why their actions don't have consequences. Do you see what I'm talking about here? They are benefiting from both sides. Okay, they are adults when it benefits them, and they have the full capability of making their own decisions, money, whatever you want to call it, being independent, right? But at the same time, they still get to benefit from a lack of responsibility. So which one is it, right? Which one is it?
So many women try to test their men constantly.
It's an evolutionary thing because here's the reality. Childbirth is potentially fatal. So to put that risk onto a relationship, you better be able to endure all types of storms.
Yeah, this is 100% the truth from a very visceral, natural perspective, right? But let's be honest about it. Girls aren't thinking about this logically and making this decision. They're doing this subconsciously, emotionally, however you want to call it, right? So yes, there's probably truth in this, but how it applies itself in reality is quite often not clear. We see women making these decisions based on all kinds of emotional principles or conditions, right? And of course, there's always an excuse for it if it doesn't work out. Just like the previous video, I talked about unhealed as being an excuse, right? If it doesn't work out, she's unhealed. If it does work out, then she's super, super smart, right? There's always an excuse to be made, regardless of the outcome, okay? And it's never their responsibility, ever. Right? And that's important to understand. Hey guys, before we keep going, I want to quickly let you know about my Modern Dating Mastery course. If you haven't heard me mention it before, it's a dating course I made that teaches you all the main things on how to master modern dating. Whether you're a beginner in dating or you just want to refine your knowledge, this course is for everyone. Through helping men, I've noticed a lot of them struggle with understanding and communicating with women. They had a girl who was in love with them, then she started losing respect and the relationship ended. Or they thought they can get a girl to like them by being their personal servant. Sometimes it can even be as simple as just saying the wrong thing or responding incorrectly. A lot of this comes from believing what they've been told about dating women instead of the actual truth. And when they learn the truth, their dating life and confidence start to drastically improve. These are the core teachings of the Modern Dating Mastery course. I go over all the mainstream dating lies most guys fall for and correct them with the truth. Then I follow up with some theory to prepare you for the final part of the course where I go over all the different ways women will test you while you're dating them. Fundamental tests, social tests, physical tests, emotional tests, and even financial tests. Each section has videos where I break down exactly how she'll test you along with how to respond so you're always passing them. There are over 60 videos in total, and it comes with a PDF cheat sheet for quick review. For those of you who are interested, I've got my biggest sale of the year going on right now, with the course being 67% off. Click the link at the top of the description to learn more about it. Alright, let's get back to the video.
So we have to test them. So we have to, unfortunately, test them. We have to test, are they going to be faithful, financially stable, have their own boundaries? Now, the problem is, unfortunately for men, when we push you and you succumb to us, you automatically lose us.
Yeah. So to me, it makes perfect sense, but a lot of guys are going to hear this and think, this is stupid. I'm not playing this game. Look, it makes sense, but not from the perspective of fair, perfectly equal. Okay. You have to do all of the work up front, then you gain the position, then you earn the right to have the access. Okay. This is how it is. You can argue all day that it's unfair, but it's just how it is and how it's always been. My one big problem with this, my one big issue is if we're going to play the natural game, okay, then why is it that women only get the right to play the natural game and not men, right? Because men, they're constricted. Sure, you have kids or whatever, because the natural man game is to have as many kids as possible, right? You go do that, your life is going to suck. You're going to be in handcuffs because the system is going to force you to pay such an exorbitant amount of your income to all these kids, right? So on some level, you are restrained. However, a woman is never restrained, right? I know situations in real life, tons of them, right? Woman has a child from 3 different baby daddies. She can collect money from each of them disproportionately. Because think about it. If you have multiple kids from the same father, you collect less money than if you have multiple kids from different fathers. So the game is obviously rigged from a legal perspective, and no one can try to deny the truth of that unless they want to be a surface dweller and they want to pretend like none of these things are real and it's all just you thinking it in your mind. You're just on the internet too much. I'm sort of tired of that shaming language too, because the logic is so obvious, right? And I'm not necessarily even shaming women at all. I'm just simply saying that the system is skewed against the men at this point. It just is. There's no incentive to play because you can't win regardless. Well, sorry, there is a caveat to how you can win. If you accept that the women's way of living is the correct way of living, if you want exactly what a woman wants, then you're fine, okay? When she needs you, you're there for her. When she falls out of love, you're still there for her anyways. If you accept this, your life is great, right? But if you at all consider what's fair and what works for your interest as a man, automatically you're not going to like this.
What we're saying when we're pushing you is really make sure you don't give into this, because if you do, then I know you're not strong enough.
Oh my God, give me an example.
It might be something like I push a man to say, I'm going to come home when I want. I'm going to come on girls' trips. I'm going to do whatever I want. And then when you actually give in and say, okay, essentially she feels like she's not being protected. So she feels like nobody's governing her.
So many guys are confused by this. And honestly, I blame your dads, because your dads were all losers, honestly, right? And I don't know if it's their fault. There was a cultural event that took place that separated great grandfathers from their sons. Okay. Here in the West, is typically great grandfathers. From the other side of the world, if you're from more of a traditional part of the world, probably grandfathers. But you get the point. There was an event that happened. I'm not going to say what. You guys can figure that out. It separated the father from the son. And those lessons didn't carry over like they used to. Because before, guys would naturally just put a woman in her place. It wasn't even a big deal. It was almost an automatic instinct, right? And a lot of it was just monkey see, monkey do from the previous generation, right? This generation, there was a conscious effort to detach that. And now you have this generation of men who don't have that instinct anymore because they're trying to be new, special, and different or whatever. And now you have women complaining that there's no authority. It's pretty interesting, but I just want to point out the reality that this used to be entirely inherent, right? And then the change happened, right?
You don't have a spine.
You're not responsible. Or she might say, I'm talking to my ex-boyfriend, and you say, I don't feel comfortable with that. She might, no, you have to, I have to. Fine, he accepts it. Essentially, she's saying that you don't mind if I have an affair. Bye. Essentially, what we're begging for sometimes is the boundary.
Yeah, well, women want you to be territorial, right? They'll complain about it all day and stuff, but they want you to be territorial. The moment you're not territorial, they instinctively understand that either A, you're weak, or B, you don't care about them that much. That's just the way it is, right? Be territorial. And if they don't accept your rules, let them leave. That's it. There is no negotiation. Too many of you guys think of this whole relationship thing as a give and take. It's not. There is no give and take, okay? It has to be on your terms, assuming, of course, they're not a total idiot. When I say on your terms, as a guy, you also have to be able to see past your ego and be smart enough and mature enough to handle that responsibility, okay? But assuming you get yourself to that point, which is hard, from that point, it has to be on your terms. There is no negotiation. There is no 50-50. There is no give and take. Okay. It's on your terms, or you find somebody that will be. Otherwise, you're just going to get in trouble long term.
We're not looking for you to bow down.
Wow.
So hard for men to figure that out.
Right,
though.
right.
I feel so bad
So
for men.
funny.
It's like reverse psychology all the time, unfortunately.
It's part of the game, right? Girls understand that what the reality is behind the veil. And unfortunately, too many people only look at the veil in front and take it face value, right? I use this terminology all the time. I call them surface dwellers, right? Because these people only look at life from a surface level perspective. They don't look one step deeper, two steps deeper. They don't understand what the chess game is on a macro level. They only see what's right in front of their eyes and they believe it because it's easy and they don't have to think. If you're one of those guys, I hate to say it because it feels unfair, but it's your fault. You have to learn this, okay? Even if you have to use me as a resource, learn it, stop fighting it, accept it, understand how to work around it and how to elevate. Okay, if you give up, that's fine. There will be some guy that will step up and he will elevate, and then he's going to have way more abundance and you're going to be jealous. It's not fun or exciting, guys. Like, none of this stuff is flattering. I mean, if you ask me what my opinion is, I don't necessarily even care for it that much or like it, but I fully accept it for what it is. And I keep saying the same thing over and over, right? Accept it for what it is and learn to play the game and stop pretending that playing the game is somehow this horrible, evil thing that you shouldn't have to do. It's a part of life. It's a part of being a human being on this planet. You have to play the game to some degree, or you can give up and live a life of nihilism. If you want to do that, I guess no one can stop you. If you like this video, like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to check out Modern Dating Mastery in the description below.